Welcome to this webinar about the new release of Alfred Desktop 3.7. Today, we will show you the new functionalities and improvements we made with the new version of Alfred Desktop, and we will demo part of them. And finally, we will make a comparison between Alfred Desktop 3.7 and the previous version 3.6, highlighting the speed and the performance that we are able to get now with the desktop application of Alfresco Digital Business Platform. Let me introduce our speaker. Today we have Ronnie and Koen. Koen is a team leader of the Alfred Desktop team. And I'll let Ronnie to take from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. It's a pleasure and an honor to talk and present to you the new work we've done on Alfred Desktop, which has been released in the last weeks. First of all, of course, a big thank you to the great team, Koen, Kenneth, and Zlatin, of having made this all come true and do all the hard work to make the new release 3.7. In that release, to give you an idea, we spent 3,500 engineering hours. This is more than 400 man days only at improving the Alfred Desktop functionality and adding, of course, a number of new features into the product. So a quick tour for those who don't know Alfred Desktop. This is not only about the 3.7 release, but Alfred Desktop is a product that has been put on the market since early 2009 with a number of pioneering customers and has been developed. There's no coincidence that we are at version 3.7. There has been a version 1, 2, 3, and some major upgrades in the 3.x series on Alfred Desktop. It is a desktop environment. It has the ambition, and I think it makes that come true, to be as simple as a Windows Explorer to use in all your normal standard operations with documents, to create documents from templates, to handle meta, to find documents, to review, to version documents, to add metadata, of course, to do previews, to work with workflows that are embedded into Alfresco. And we have done some work to make working with permissions much easier than in the standard user interfaces available to Alfresco. I want to highlight the advanced search capabilities. We support filters on search results since 2014, I think, before Alfresco had that into the interface, because it makes working with documents and Alfresco so much easier. A number of third-party integrations have been made, quite often bespoke for specific customers like Vespa in Antwerp. And we support, of course, Alfresco Community and Alfresco Enterprise and are compatible over many versions. Our compatibility goes back to Alfresco 4, 4.2, Alfresco 5, and we're working, and that you'll see in the roadmap, on Alfresco 6 support. That is also thanks to the architecture of Alfred Desktop that talks to a standardized API that we deliver with the product. In Alfresco Desktop 3.6, we focused on the usability feature with pop-up screens, so it's easier to add data, makes it also very explicit that we ask a user to input data. With a pop-up screen, you can increase the intuitive usage of desktop. And we worked on a big feature, which was mainly driven by Stadtwerke Munich, to be able to lock and export a number of documents, to import and release those documents again. So you could take, let's say, a whole dossier, a folder with a number of documents offline. You can actually work on those documents, not just read them and consult them, but you can work on them. You can import and release those documents, and then you can even see conflicts, validate or invalidate the changes that you have made offline. This is a major step forward to our classical process in which you could take a working copy of a document, but that's it. then you can work on that one document and you can put it back when you come back. But here we have the capability, we introduced that in 3.6, that you could take a whole dossier, number of documents, folders, subfolders, and you didn't even have to know on which documents you're going to work. You can work on the documents that you need to change on site, on premise, on the occasion, come back with that whole dossier, and we support the whole process of synchronizing those changes again into the Alfresco document database, which is, I believe, a unique feature to Alfred Desktop. So that was the big work in the 3.6 release, which brings us to what's new in the 3.7 new features and improvements. I'll do a quick walkthrough before Koen will demonstrate those features. So the first thing that we did is we made Alfred Desktop, let's say, a little bit even more compliant with how the File Explorer on Windows behaves. Because if you do something in the right-hand pane, the list of documents, or you make changes in the breadcrumb, the path of your documents on top of Alfred Desktop, we will now have the tree structure on the left-hand side, which is sometimes called the browse pane or panel, that will synchronize automatically. So if you navigate on the right-hand side in the list of documents or folders, or if you navigate in the breadcrumb, the left-hand side, the navigation pane, the folder pane will always synchronize. So what you see on the right-hand side is actually what you're looking at, and it's consistent how it is displayed on the left-hand side. This is a configurable feature, and we made it configurable because not everybody would like to have it like that. Secondly, as well, because we thought that it would have some impact on performance and responsivity, but our testing has proven that it does not impact performance, not in the sense that it would hinder users, that it would feel less fluid to use, but it adds a lot of clarity into the interface and where you are. And again, it's very compliant and consistent with how Windows Explorer behaves. Second feature is the progress bar. That might seem a small feature, but it's not so easy to add, and it helps a lot in terms of usability, because if you do operations on Alfred Desktop that take a little bit of time, that is, you add a folder with documents into it, you add a big zip file, you add a big file to the desktop, you can move those, and those might be longer operations. You can delete a number of documents. You want to know what's happening, because if you do that operation and you don't get feedback from desktop, you might assume that that is being done, or it's done, it's finished, and then you might start doing other activities that intervene with ongoing processes. So you get now feedback with the progress bar of what is happening for longer running transactions. Alfred Desktop is very fast in everything it does, but some things take a little bit more time than other things, and that's why we have a progress bar. Things that take a little bit longer will be indicated, and you will have visual feedback on those operations. Number 3, and that's a big change. That's a big change visually, but first and foremost, I think in terms of performance and reactivity, we implemented a new, let's say, web style interface embedded into the desktop to interact with your workflows, processes and workflows and your tasks, which uses the same principle as we have already done before in Alfred Desktop, that is embedding browser-based capabilities into the desktop. And we implemented a very fast way of consulting your tasks and your processes, which was not the fastest part of Alfred Desktop in the past, and we have recognized that, so we implemented a much faster way to consult those. So improvements in 3.7, before I hand over to Koen to show you how it works. First of all, let's say a little bit more of a technical feature, but the portability of saved searches across multiple environments, development and production, means that it's now easier if you have a saved search. The probability that it will work in all different environments and circumstances is high, because we now used the QName path, which is easier to maintain than a unique ID that is specific to the environment where the unique ID is created. So you will not see problems with saved searches through different environments. But highlighting next to the functional improvements, I think the bulk of the work, of hard work, has been done to improve, to some extent, performance, but to a very big extent, responsiveness and stability of Alfred 3.7. We spend a lot of engineering hours to look at every different aspect, where there could be applied different tactics to make it more responsive. Could we apply other strategies to do those? Do we do superfluous calls? Can we eliminate those? Whatever needs to be happening on the user interface thread, what can be done in other threads, what can be done offline. So we improved that a lot, and that is difficult to show, but it's very easy to feel when you use the product that it has improved a lot in that respect. And that, of course, brings us to the demo, and also to Koen, who has been heading the engineering effort on this and heading the team to make that 3.7 version happening. And Koen will take over now the screen. So we'll have him sharing his screen and driving you through the most important improvements of 3.7. Over to you, Koen.
Thank you, Ronnie. I did a little preparation for the demo, and I will walk through to all the features that have been addressed in before. So I will start with the demo of the following of the navigation tree in the pane. So I've prepared here a shortcut demo navigation tree follow, and it's a shortcut to a document in the demo folder, which has some subfolders. I will show you. So now the functionality is not enabled. So when I click on it, you will see that the shortcut brings you to the document, and only the breadcrumb gets updated and the navigation tree doesn't follow. So we will go back to the webinar folder. In the user settings, it's a user setting. You can enable it in the advanced pane by clicking on expand navigation tree to the current open folder, to apply it, and setting that feature becomes immediately available. So now when I click on the shortcut, you will see that we go back to the file, and you see that the navigation tree follows as the breadcrumb does. Now, if you click on the breadcrumb, for example, on a file, on a folder like demo, the breadcrumb and the navigation tree synchronize on that. So it gives you a nice indication now, also in the navigation pane, to see where you are or where you come from. It also works from search. So let's say that we have this all closed and I'm in the shared folder. I do a search on the file navigation tree. So that's the file in the demo folder. Now when I click open file location, you will see that you go to the file location and the navigation tree follows the path as well. If you don't like that behavior, you can always disable it in the user settings. So the second part is improved user information to longer running tasks, like uploading files or also deleting files. So I have here a folder with 1000 items to be deleted. So I will open it just to show that there are 1,000 files in it. So I have some folders in it, some documents, and some files. So now when you go back and you say, okay, you want to delete that one, that takes a while. So I'm going to delete that folder, and you see a progress bar that's indicating that the deletion process of all the child nodes is going on, and when it's completed, it will stop. So now the task is completed. So you see that before it was not showing anything, so you didn't know whether it was complete or not. Now you really have some visual feedback that is happening. We also improved the upload progress. So I'm going to drag a couple of files and a folder with some large files in it, and you will see in the progress that it's what it's uploading, how far it's already in the task of uploading it, and you get that feedback. So, and if I delete them again, I have a progress bar, but it's fast. So then we don't see it. For the third part, it's about the workflows. So I will open the new workflow overview. So I prepared already some workflows with some tasks. This is a new overview which puts a focus on the tasks you have to you need to complete. You can click on it and you see the details. It's a more web-based application, so you can go back. We have also separated the pull tasks from the overview, so you maintain the focus. So when you go to pull tasks, you can select one, you can claim it, so it disappears, and when you look at my tasks, you will see that the pull tasks is in there. If you say, okay, I'm not able to do it, you can release it, just easy, and it will become available in the pull tasks again. So compared to workflows version 1, we also added filtering functionality. So when you have a large set of files of tasks to complete, or a large set of pull tasks that are assigned to your group, and someone asks you to work on a case or something, you can apply the filter, like saying, okay, you need to work on case 3. Suppose you have a lot of tasks in this list, you can apply the filter and you'll immediately see the tasks at hand for that particular case. That was functionality that was not available in version 1. As in version 1, you also have the overview of the workflows you started. So you have the whole list and you are able to view all the details by clicking it, and you can cancel a workflow just easy in the transitions. So that's basically how the new improved workflow interface looks like. We think it's very intuitive and gives you more focus compared to the previous overview that we had, because now you only see task assigned and you can easily switch between the two, and you always get focus on what you're working on.
Koen, sorry, one question. Can we see the previous version?
Yes, I can show the previous version. So we have the workflow overview. It's slower in loading. So you see that it's now loaded, and on the previous overview, we had 3 sections with the tasks where you have all the tasks, so the tasks that are assigned to you, as well as the tasks that are in the pooled task list. So it can be a bit overwhelming when you have a lot of tasks assigned to your working group, and also maybe you're not always interested in all the workflows that you have been started. So that information is, the screen and state can be used more optimal to show that information. And then of course, what you see in the details pane, you have as well in the workflow overview in workflow 2.0.
Thank you.
But we have a big improvement in performance when loading a lot of tasks and workflows. And then the last part is about the performance improvements that we did. I have here a folder with 1,000 items, and they are not, this is the first time that I'm going to open them. So it will take a bit longer, but you see I have all the information and the creation date, a modification date, and it opens pretty quickly now. And you see immediately the documents, the types that you have at hand. You also, the improvements can also be seen in the search results, in displaying of the search results. But for that, I'm going to connect to another server because we have more documents there, and we will have more results shown. Connecting. It's synchronizing because we are switching between different servers. So I opened the search pane, and let's say I will do a search on this repository. That's our repository we use for day-to-day use on information about Alfred Desktop. So you see immediately the dirty results and the additional metadata that's being completed, and the locations as while they are loading, the information is loading. You can already start scrolling down the list to try and find your document. So as you see here, they are all loaded and it's still working smoothly. So that's basically the demo of the features that we implemented and the changes that we made. So I will hand over now the presentation back to Ronnie.
Very good. I think that's pretty impressive, and we know why all the hard engineering hours were put in that kind of result to make a really responsive Alfred Desktop, even with large amounts of documents. As you know, that most browser-based interfaces, they do some paging with 100 documents or less, while Alfred Desktop shows you 1,000 results immediately with a lot of metadata with it, so you can filter and group and sort and whatever you want. So we believe that remains a very strong and differentiating quality of the desktop interface. Right, so I'll have a quick overview then of what Koen actually showed in practice. We did measurements between the 3.6 and the 3.7. Let's say that the 3.6 was not a slow desktop interface either, but we improved the display of search results with, say, 23%, Of course, that is not an exact number. It gives you an indication because it depends a bit on the query, on the environment, etc. But the effect of the improvements on desktop are between 20 and 25% in terms of displaying search results. Opening folders is even more impressive, 36% off according to our measurements between desktop 3.6 and desktop 3.7. So that's a lot of time gained for you to do the actual work that you need to do. And of course, the most impressive improvement has been made on opening workflows and tasks. That's really dramatic, of course, in improvement. We changed how we display it, we changed the API, we changed a lot of things there to make that really fast. Because you saw Koen demonstrating this on, let's say, 5 tasks and 5 processes. But what happens in practice with our larger customers is that they have 25 tasks, 50 tasks, and maybe 200 or 300 processes going on at the same time. And then you can really feel the difference, because 10 times faster and it only takes you 3 seconds is still acceptable. But if it takes you 30 seconds and it goes 10 times faster, it makes an enormous difference in terms of productivity of people. And that's what we saw, is that the really heavy users of workflows have much more processes and tasks going on than we show in the demo. And there it makes such an impact on daily life, working with Alfresco with our desktop application. We did also some measurements. To explain those, I'll go quickly through the cases. So opening a folder with 1,000 documents, as you see in Alfresco 3.6, average first loading of 1,000 documents is 3.5 seconds. That goes down to 2.7 seconds. And that's something, if you use it on a daily basis, I can tell you, you feel those 0.8 seconds. You feel them a lot. And there are users and there are systems with 1,000 documents in a folder that exists. And you will even feel it if you only have 100 or 150 documents in the folder. Now let me explain the third column. That's whenever you have already opened such a folder, and in the same session, so if you don't close Alfred Desktop, in the same session you open that folder again, you will have not only an improvement of 0.8 seconds, you will have an improvement of 1.6 seconds, still off that 2.7 seconds, because we cache it. Again, this is a unique feature of desktop. There is no web-based client that has that cache that Alfred Desktop has since a number of releases, and that we continuously tune and improve. So that means that only the first time you have 2.7 seconds to open that folder. Every subsequent opening of that folder is in 1.1 second. And then, of course, it starts to feel like a very, very fast application. Looking at the second line, opening the folders with 1,000 folders. Again, this is an example from practice. This is not something we invent to test it. It happens in practice. There are these Alfresco installations. There are among our customer base. First opening of that folder with 1,000 folders goes down from 5.4 in Alfred Desktop 3.6 to 3.5 seconds. And look, we almost get it as fast as 1,000 documents if you open it the second time. So the data come from the cache. So that's spectacular. That's not 30%, but that's a factor 3. If you use it, you feel it. And speed goes into all operations. Going down to 2,000 documents, you see we even stay with 2,000 documents or 2,000 folders when it comes from the cache. We keep our 3 seconds that are so dear to us in terms of performance to connect and load an initial folder with 47 children. So that can be a mix of folders and documents. That's children. Again, that's a folder operation. There we get it down to 3.6 seconds in Alfred Desktop 3.7 initial load. and it has no caching effect. That's also important to know, that we don't always can use the cache, but we try to use it as much as possible. Again, if you look at those numbers, we stick within the 3 seconds. Okay, we go 3.6, but it's not 4. So with a little bit of loving interpretation, here again, we get to our benchmark of 3 seconds, more or less the 3 seconds of opening those folders. Next row shows us the time to show search results. So from that row on, time to show 443 search results. Why? That's a typical, you get typically something between 100 and 1,000 results. Goes down, initial showing of those results from 6.7 seconds to 5.5. Again, of course, that can always be better. But at some point, desktop performance is at its end. So if you want to tune this, you have to tune your Alfresco to become faster. Now, the good news is, thanks to the cache of Alfred Desktop, without tuning your Alfresco, next time that you would open those same search results, or a number of documents that can come from the cache that are loaded thanks to the search results, you get down to 2.7 seconds. So that's really very, very acceptable and fast result. If you go up, why do we have the 1030? Because that's the artificial limit on the number of search results that we retrieve from Alfresco, which, by the way, also the default setting of Alfresco itself. We go down from 8.9 to 6.9 seconds. Now, those 6.9 seconds and 3.7, interpret them as with a lot of metadata. It's just not the names of the documents, but we get a location path, and we get more data. So there's a lot of metadata. That is improved again there, second time, then you open it in 5 seconds if we can get those metadata from the cache. So you see the spectacular improvements. And then, of course, the workflows, that speaks by itself. Opening the tab and showing just 6 workflows in the old interface took us 21 seconds before everything was displayed, initialized. It takes us now 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds from the cache as well, but that is fine because the 2 seconds are just fast. So no need to cache that. The last one, time to show 30 subfolders in the parent folder in the breadcrumb. Yes, so that's a point of attention. It's still within 1.3 seconds in Alfred Desktop. But it's something that's a small improvement that is on our roadmap as well, to improve the breadcrumb performance, even when you look at larger structures. I think that illustrates quite nicely why all that hard work has been put in and where the result is in Alfred Desktop 3.7. Looking at the roadmap, Alfresco 6 support, Alfresco 6.0 has been released, 6.1 has been released. So we're working hard to adapt our API and make sure that our clients, the Alfred Desktop and Alfred Finder, are compatible with the new API that's being done as we speak. We will increase the integration and the connection with the Alfred suite, because Alfred Desktop was our first product and it's still a very cherished one, but we have been extending the Alfred suite with an Alfred API and an Alfred web client and an Alfred inflow to regulate the traffic into Alfresco. So to bring the promise of performance, clarity of usage and availability to the whole suite. You need to influence more than just the desktop. You need to work on the whole of Alfresco. We will increase the whole compatibility of desktop with that suite. The suite will bring extended authentication. We know that OAuth 2, SAML, and those things are on the roadmap for the Alfred suite. So these are modern ways to authenticate and to work together with internet users and internal users, etc. So that's something that is on the roadmap. We have been adding some features, but we will make them production ready on save links. So from Alfred Desktop, you can save and share links with people outside of the organization in a very safe way. And that also adds some GDPR features in terms of indicating how confidential a document is, what kind of personal information is in the document, and transmitting that information via the desktop. So everybody is armed and warned not to share information that has private information into it. The last point on the roadmap for this year is the Office 365 integration. We see many of our customers next to Alfresco having an Office 365 for online editing, online working on documents. And we will, as we were very soon in the process to support a very nice offline integration with Office, we will work towards the offline, the integration of the Office 365, the Office online integration as well this year, not only for the desktop, but also for the web-based interface. So I think that's in a nutshell the roadmap.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Koen. Thank you, Ronnie. Alfred Desktop 3.7 is in production, is already available. Everyone can access anytime a free trial for 30 days just by filling the form on the landing page on our website, the link that you see here on the deck. Or you can contact our sales team to schedule a one-to-one full demo to show you the full capabilities of the desktop application and to get, of course, your quotation, which is based on number of users and the usage. So thank you again to be part of this webinar. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Danielle.
Very well.